Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on my journey through adaptive music. Today I want to take a moment to talk about memory usage and how you can make your game more efficient using middleware such as Wwise. So for your game, you're going to have a ton of assets, characters and environments, scripts, sound effects, and music, which will all take up storage space in your game. And no one wants a game that's huge in terms of memory space, because it's going to be slower to load. It might perform a bit slower. And so the last thing that we want is the music to be causing any sort of lag or consume too much memory as well. So we have our combat music here in place. We know how it's all been segmented. It can loop endlessly by referencing a few of these different music segment files. But what if we wanted to use this music elsewhere? Let's say we wanted to use it in the main menu, or maybe for the end credits, or just in general as a background music for a cutscene. What we could do is, instead of having all these chunks and segments, is I as the composer can provide you with a full soundtrack style version of that music, where I've basically done a copy paste of all the different areas. We have the intro, the loops, transitions, and the ending. And this would give us about a 2.5 minute file, which would run at about 26 megabytes big. Because it'd be WAV file, it's uncompressed. That's not a small file in terms of music size, but it's going to give you great quality. But that's unnecessary. We already have all of these files in segments in Wwise, so why not just rearrange them in a way that we can utilize the same audio files to create a linear track instead of adaptive music that changes based on player actions? What if we wanted the main menu to always play the same way for those 2.5 minutes? Well, in Wwise, we can create a playlist container, which essentially takes those exact same music files, those same segments, and it rearranges them in a predefined order. So we're not using any new audio files. We are not doubling the number of files that we have, but we're using only 20 megabytes of files for both our combat adaptive music and our linear menu music, or credit music, or soundtrack music, however you want to think of it. We're using the same 20 megabytes of files instead of creating an additional 26 megabytes. So we're cutting it in half. So what I've done is I've created this playlist container. I've put in the same audio files. It's referencing the same files, so it's not using up any more space. And I have set up a sequence continuous playlist, which means it'll play the intro twice. It'll do our little drum fill once. Then it'll go through each of these loops based on the loop count that I have in place. So it will go top to bottom through this track, and then it'll end there. I could set it up so that the playlist itself will loop endlessly, which I would want for main menu, but if it's for a cutscene or the end credits and I know how long it's going to take, I could leave the loop count at 1 and it'll simply end at the end of the 2.5 minutes that this playlist will take. So what we'll do is we'll listen to the whole playlist. You'll see a little yellow arrow points to which section of the playlist it is playing at a time. And you'll see how it moves down as it plays through these music segments. And again, we are not doubling the number of files. This is referencing the exact same amount of data that we used for the adaptive combat music. So this is a great way to cut down on resources and ensure that your game is not getting bloated with unnecessary files when we can simply reuse what we currently have in the system already. So let's take a listen and hear how it sounds. And there you have it. We're using the same audio files for multiple purposes, both the adaptive horizontal music as well as a linear menu music or cutscene music or credits music. So hopefully that was beneficial to you and you learned something new about how you can optimize your game's performance by using the same files for multiple purposes. So thank you again for checking out my video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more videos on adaptive music in video games. Thank you very much. Take care.